Okay, you guys are live.
Ah, good evening, ladies and gents. To our audience out there tuning in, we bringing to you guys another beautiful show of our Fathers and Finances. I have my three strong men with me, holding it down. Mr. Isaac Crumbly. How you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
brother?
What's up?
I'm doing good, man. And you?
Yes, sir. Doing good, man. Every day above ground. Every day above ground.
Yes, sir.
Patrick,
Listen.
Mr. Patrick Graves, how you doing, man?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man? I'm doing good. Blessed and highly favored.
For sure. What were you saying, Isaac? I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
I said, man, hopefully this time next week, instead of calling me Isaac, it's gonna be Pawpaw. I want that introduction.
Right. You got it.
I never seen somebody so happy to be a grandpa for in their life, boy.
Right.
I tell you what, man,
Right.
shoot.
Right.
Not me. I ain't ready for that yet. Not till I'm 80 years old. Then he can call me Pawpaw.
Man, please. Hey,
look,
I'm
a
say
great
that now.
uncle, man.
Let your baby girl tell you she's pregnant, Joe. You're gonna be a little irritated at first, and you like, shoot.
I told her she can have that. You can do that when she's 40 years old. So when she's 40, about 20 years ago. So I'm good.
That's all good, Trevor. Look, hey, Trevor, listen, I'm a great uncle at 30. It's crazy, man. Both of my two oldest nieces got babies. And my next to the oldest. It's crazy,
that's
man.
Good. That's good, Isaac, man. That's good, though.
Yes, sir. Today, listen to the audience. Today, we'll be talking about leaving a legacy. And first and foremost, happy early Father's Day, fellas.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right.
I won't see y'all again till after, you know.
Hey, hold on. Now I'm back. When is that day? Because I don't do
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. All right.
Sunday.
Yeah. Yep. Sunday.
Hey, and Tanisha, make sure you tell your father that all of us said Happy Father's Day to him as well.
Of course,
Happy
definitely
Father's Day,
do that.
the red one.
Sure. Right.
Red one.
And when we talk about building generational wealth, or even leaving a legacy for our family and our kids, what does it look like? You know what I mean? For you as the man, you know what I mean, wanting to set up a legacy for your family. And there's three topics that we'll be discussing on to cover that. Is, first we'll be starting off with the education and, just educating our kids as well as ourselves, but just, so that they can carry on that legacy in good fashion. You know what I mean? And the next topic will be the moral value or obligation to building this generational wealth that we all would love to do. And in fact, me and my brothers up here in the process of doing that, so it's beautiful. And then last but not least, ways to actually do that. On how to set that up, start that generational wealth, because it can start with you. And fellas, how do y'all feel about building generational wealth? We're all fathers. How do you feel, Isaac, about having that legacy for yourself and your family?
Well, man, I'm actually, Trevor was picking at me about this grandfather thing, but literally this is it though. I mean, what else is legacy other than leaving something for your children and your children's children? I mean, that's it. And I'm stepping into that right now. You know what I'm saying? So, when my granddaughter and other, God willing, any other grandchildren that I have, when she thinks about me, I want her to know that her grandfather and her father set some things up for that, she didn't have to do. I was talking with Delisa earlier, man. These people at the country club, that are out there today. These people have a leg up, and I'm not blaming them for having a leg up. I'm not, but it's what you should do as a parent. And why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about giving our children a leg up to start their stuff with? That has to be our regular topic of conversation. Other cultures talk about that, man, like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. Mr. Patrick Graves, how you feel, man? How you feel on leaving a legacy for your family, man, to carry on? Not just leaving them a legacy, but educating them as well to, keep that thing going.
Well, personally, I'm I'm really happy about being able to be introduced to the financial literacy campaign, first and foremost, and being able to sit here and be with these distinguished gentlemen that's up here with me. It's honored to be here. Knowing about financial literacy and leaving a legacy makes me sleep better at night. And I don't sleep well. The military kind of messed me up a little bit. But knowing that, I not necessarily sleep better, but if I was to die today, you know, God forbid, I know that I have things in place. I have a legacy that I've set forth this far, and my legacy is only growing. I just want to see how big and how much that I leave behind. So for right now, it's a legacy, but I want it to be something,
major.
I'm excited about what I'm doing and excited about how easy it is for us to actually change the dynamics of our community with understanding and this education. Also with legacy is like, okay, like Isaac said earlier, leaving a leg up, like,
yeah.
I don't even think that we as a community should even look at it as a leg up. It should be something that's already there. We understand that it's things that you have to be successful in the world, in this economy. So it's like starting the race at the same time. Y'all ever seen that analogy, or not analogy? It's like a I don't know. It's like a little video.
It's a video of the coach talking about if you've ever had this.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was dope, and it was really good to actually see that and say, all right, if we start at the beginning, we all at the starting line, and we don't have to jump the hoops just to get to the starting line. I'm really proud of what I did for my daughter, and letting her be able to start the race just like everybody else, and even a leg up in some cases.
Right. Okay. Mr. Trevor, last but not least, how you doing, man? What's your thoughts on, leaving that legacy for yourself and your family to carry it on?
I'm all for that. But before someone does that, they need to go ahead and open up Title 26, okay? the tax code.
Title 26, Trevor.
Right.
Tell them about Title 26.
You're gonna pay a death tax, when you pass on, right? And
of course,
you're gonna pay, not only will you pay a death tax, but then the death tax is the estate taxes, okay? That's what that is, right? Yeah. And then the individual that inherits that, they also pay the inheritance tax, okay? So you're gonna pay taxes twice on what, or you'll be taxed twice on what you leave your family if you don't do it right. So I'm all about leaving for your family, but make sure you do it right, because if you don't do it right, you're doing their service. So I'll tell you how to do it right. As far as getting it done, you have to get with a qualified CPA to knock it out for you. But I can tell you exactly what you could do to avoid the death tax and avoid the inheritance tax. But yes, I'm all for leaving the family, legacy. Yeah. I say this a lot in my classes that I talk to. I say, my goal is not to leave my kids any money. Okay, my goal is to leave my children debt, right? Because most people don't know. If you put someone, let's say I loan Patrick $500,000, okay, and I loaned him that $500,000 on a 99-year loan, okay, and I tell Patrick, okay, Patrick, the first payment is due in year 98, and it'll balloon in year 99, right? Well, for him, that loan will be tax deferred, okay? He got one job, spend the money before what year? 8 years, okay? Now, for me, because I gave a loan out that I'm not being paid on, okay? I can now write off $500,000 every year for 98 years. So if you teach your children how to make their own money, okay, you leave your children debt in that aspect.
That regard,
They'll,
right.
they'll
Right.
pass down, and so now your kids can now keep their money, okay, because of the debt you left them, okay. So people get crazy, like you a mean daddy, you know, when I say I'm gonna leave my kids debt. Well, I am, because if I leave my kids the debt that's passed on to them, it allows them to keep their wealth.
Right.
So
For sure.
lots of ways. But yes, I want to keep my,
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Man, say them nuggets to the end now. You know,
Yeah,
we,
look.
Oh, you know, I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
plenty. You know, I got plenty.
Yeah.
You know, I got plenty of
Right.
that.
like, come on, man. You know,
Right.
we got to put the nuggets at the end. That's the solutions. That's the solutions.
Right. And then look, I know I said Trevor last but not least for you, but I didn't even express it. But you guys touched on everything pretty well. As far as our reasoning and wanting to leave that legacy. And yes, of course, I want to leave a legacy, and in the process of doing so. And it is amazing, like Patrick said, you know, just knowing that you have in place what you need to have in place so that your family is good and okay. Now, the biggest thing that I would encourage with, you know, leaving a legacy for the brothers, not only do you want to leave that legacy and have in place what you have in place, you know, the proper things, but you want to educate your kids so that they can carry it on. Because if you're not educating, if you're just leaving them whatever, you know, you're setting all the right stuff up, but you ain't letting them know how to, you know, getting them familiar with everything and what you're setting up and what it's for and how to use it. And you know what I mean? It's really no point in setting everything up.
But Marcus, let me say this, man. The first part, and you're absolutely right. I'm not disagreeing, but the first part of the education is us educating ourselves. And then not only that, you know, on our production meeting, you know, Trevor was telling us about a book that he was reading to make himself a better agent. And then he was like, yo, fellas, y'all need to read this. So he was already a good agent and already a good representative for his people, but he was still trying to sharpen himself and learn more.
Yes,
so the first part of the education is us figuring out what it is that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then trying to go from there. And I'm probably I know Trevor's going to explode when I say this, because I know he teaches this in his class, but quit hanging around asking people who don't have any money or haven't done anything. Quit asking them how to do something. Go find somebody that is doing something and hang around them. And like Trevor says, let them tell you that you're wrong. Let them tell you, no, dummy, don't do that. And I don't need to call you dummy, but I'm saying you got to be humble enough. You have to be humble enough to be like, okay, how did you get here? All right, I'll do that. Prime example, I got a great friend of mine that learned how to flip houses prior to the 2008 crash. He was a landscaper. He had all of the Mrs. Winter's chickens in Atlanta. That was his contract. So he was doing quite well, but he was busting his butt every day out there in the heat, winter, what have you. And he saw a gentleman riding in a nice car. He asked him what he did. And he told him I flip houses. And he says, he just thought about it. He said, what do you do to flip houses? He said, I drive around, I find a house, I calculate, I determine what it's going to be worth to me, and I do that. And he was thinking, man, how hard am I working to make 6 figures versus what this cat is doing? So he submitted him. He's like, would you teach me? He said, you have to be willing to let me teach you, and not, if you got a question, let me, ask the question. And then if I kind of embarrass you a little bit, if I say it's stupid or whatever, you're going to have to humble yourself. Long story short, this is a good friend of mine. This brother became very, very wealthy selling, flipping houses. So you have to be willing to submit yourself to the process of somebody that has already been where you're trying to go.
That's a great point, Isaac, because humility is probably, what did they say, that pride
Go up before a fall.
Yeah. And most people, they we all want to think we know everything, all right? Especially if we do something and it creates a result. But as you said, get around people that know more than you, that are willing to help you, that will disagree with you, okay?
Right.
Because that's where the gold is at. Because a person that is willing to share with someone else to become better, that's a great person, all right? And even though what they may do or think may go against your belief, okay, that's called cognitive dissonance, And so we have a tendency to really get upset when someone goes against what we believe or think. And it's probably because someone we cared about and loved told us this thing that's no longer true. And that don't feel good, okay? But we owe it to ourselves, especially as agents, okay? We owe it to ourselves to say, okay, how can I get around this person's narrow view of this policy or narrow view of this viewpoint, okay? Without getting mad or getting upset, because ultimately it ain't their fault. I still believe that people will do better if they know better, okay? And I believe that it is the agent's responsibility to give and provide the best possible means of help and protection to that client. And as a father, okay, it is definitely our duty to leave our family in a better place than what we created in. Okay, I don't believe in that. Hey, it's your life, you live it, make your mistakes, blah blah blah. No, as a father, you know more, you know better, or you should know better. Okay, and so
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
true.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
But I still say it's their responsibility, because your children, I tell people all the time, I don't owe my kids shit. Okay? It's my money, it's my house, it's my car, it's my everything. Okay? The only thing I owe them are the values and education I leave them. Because one day they will grow up and live their own life and make their own money. And they will do that based on the values and education I leave them. As a parent, I believe that's all we owe our kids.
And Trevor,
That's a good point.
that's excellent, man, because we always say, well, I owe them this, that, and the other. And when we fussing at them sometimes, especially when they teenagers, look, man, I don't owe you nothing but to feed you and have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
So shut up before I smack you out. We get to them kind of conversations. But
Yeah.
in all honesty, man, we do owe them. If you choose to bring a child into this life, you need to equip them.
Yes.
Definitely.
And not equipping them, first of all, not equipping yourself. So if you already know you're handicapped, then you need to make sure that you find out what your handicap is, learn that, and then fix it. Look at what's our Serena Williams and Venus Williams? Is it Richard Williams?
I think it is. I think it is.
I mean, that man taught himself tennis. He couldn't
Yeah.
play. He didn't play, but he's like, my girls are getting out of these projects, learning how to play tennis. And he taught himself tennis and told him, well, this is what you need to do. I can't do it, but this is what you need to do, until they could get some instructors and what have you. So that's how we have to be as parents, especially when it comes to finances, man. I regret the fact that I didn't have an IUL for my children growing up, but I tell you what.
Same here. Same here.
But Rama, my granddaughter, she's gonna have an IUL, and she should have too. I'm gonna aggravate her father. My son to be like, son, get an IUL on her, and I'm gonna get one too. And whoever else want to get one, they all need to get one. We need to make sure that we take care of our grandchildren, so that when they come up, and children, so that when they come up, they got something to stand on, man. We about to go over a little bit, man. We about to get fired up. I can see it. I just want to I want to make sure, and Trevor and Marcus, you controlling everything, but I just want to let you know that we're on that time mark. But we can go ahead, we can keep talking on this topic or what have you. I just want to make sure that we we don't go too far past the.
No, it's okay to move to the next one now, talking about the discussing the moral value and obligation that we have.
I just want to say I am so proud of us for what we doing, okay? Because this is what we should be doing, man. Educating the people, no matter who's on, who watching. I'm proud as the hell of us, bro. I am.
Me too. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir, bro. We're doing something good, brother. Listen, and no matter what, whether we don't know. So like I got a friend that just reached out to me. And I didn't know she's been watching these. I didn't know she's been watching them in her spare time. And she just had an incident come up and she's like, man, I got to call Isaac, and we were able to help her. We were able to help her this week. So I had no idea that,
you're right.
But she's like, yo, I see Isaac and them out there talking, they're having a good time, they're educating people. I got to go get a hold of them. So you never know what you were doing. Hence, our moral obligation to do this which is what we're talking about.
Right.
I got 2 solutions to do because they're watching the show. 2.
Okay. Yes, sir. Nice, yes, sir. Nice. So think about the lives that we're going to be changing just by giving some information. I mean, that blessing. I mean, I'm getting kind of goosebumps. I as I spoke it, I kind of got goosebumps thinking about it. Because think about this, man. We're doing this show. We're on this platform. And then somebody really takes it to heart and they put their child in a situation where they can go on and do something great for the world, but they're financially able to do so. Yeah. And we would aspire to do that.
Yep.
And the more people we talk to and talk about, we are literally changing that, man. Like we literally, you don't know who is doing what with this information, man. It is us by God. God is really, I don't know how you guys feel about spirituality. I mean, to a certain point I do, but when you help other people bless themselves, that's a blessing on you, man, in a big way. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So that's certainly a moral obligation.
And then Isaac, to just kind of piggyback off you real quick before somebody else speak, I like you were saying, somebody, that we never know who's watching, and one of your good friends, contacted you. I had a friend that contacted me. I was talking earlier. It's crazy, like, bro, I've been, been having these past few years, been saving up a good bit of money. I'm ready. I need you to help me with investing it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's what's up. You know what I mean? So just to get that, and like he's not watching this stuff. Well, to my knowledge, I haven't talked to him about it, but that's just to show you that people are tuning in. I mean, he's my friend on Facebook, of course, but people are tuning in to what you post, what you're,
they're quietly watching. They're quietly watching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Guys, I'm with all of y'all with that. I just smile because I'm excited because, like you said, they quietly watching, but we doing something monumental. And I keep saying, like, I'm proud to be a part of this because it's like, when the audience that's been watching from the beginning, I don't see David on, but he's one of the guys that's always on.
Yeah.
When he watches us walk the red carpet because of the people that we affected with the information that we given and being okay with putting ourselves out here, because we putting our our families out here, we putting our feelings about finances. We're being vulnerable with the world to let them understand, like, we just like you. We dealing with the same type of things. We're learning and we're reading and we're getting better, and we want our community to get better. So it's like, hey, if we don't do it, then who else is going to do it? Right. And we see other financial educators that are out there, and more power to them because they're on the same mission that we are. But what impact are we leaving? We already left a legacy right now. This is our legacy right here. Because
let me just say this, Pat, real quick. I just, because if I'm 51, brother. It'll leave my mind in a minute if I don't say it right now.
Go ahead, get it.
So I just want to say this because this is Fathers and Finance, and we are, doing a good job. But just like anything that is good, it gets birthed from a woman, and this idea was not our idea. This idea was
thank you, Isaac.
and Tanisha birthed this idea. So I just want to get at, so
For sure.
she birthed this idea because she wanted to see men being able to take care of me. And so just like any good thing, all of us came from a woman. And I want to make sure that I give honor and pray while we sit up and patting ourselves on the back. I want to make sure
Tanisha,
I shout out to Tanisha,
definitely.
man,
That's right.
because any good
That's right.
thing, most good things come from Black women anyway. So I want to make sure that I
come
shout
on.
out. I want to make sure that I shout out Tanisha. So I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Yes, sir.
Nah, you good. You took away the floor. I was expecting a story after that. I was getting ready because we could talk about finances all day. Like we could talk about it because it's something that's important. It's something that's in our faces right now. It's something that ain't nobody really talking about in the way that we're talking about it, to let them know, hey, I know it's tight out here. I know it don't look good all the time, but there is a way. And if you ever was wondering how that community doing it, we got the keys.
Do it. We just do
We
it.
got the keys. We know how to do it. All we have to do is apply ourselves and then have enough people to believe in it. If we believe in it, we believe in this show, we believe in what we touch, it's only a matter of time. I tell Marcus this all the time. I get on the phone, I say, bro, it's only a matter of time.
That's it.
Hey, you should be excited right now about all the blessings that are coming.
Yes. It's already out there. We just gotta walk into it.
We just walking into, so it's only a matter of time. So that's why I come on here and I say, hey, I thank y'all for letting me be on here with y'all, because it could be anybody. It could be Joe Blow that's on here with y'all, but it's Patrick Graves, it's Black Tie Graves that's on here, and I'll be saying, use the words that God give me.
Yes, sir.
To speak to somebody that's like me, that's going through the same thing I'm going through, that's seen struggles and trials and tribulations, that want to get better, that's ready to get better, that's eager, that's humble, that's disciplined. I love the word discipline because it's something that I have to work on. But I also know that discipline is the one thing that separates success from failure. Failure is when you stop. Success is when you have discipline to continue on your path till you make whatever you have in your mind to happen.
Right.
And I seen Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of my favorites. But he be dropping some stuff. A lot of people think he's crazy, but he dropped some real knowledge. And he said, if you don't have discipline, you're nothing.
Right.
He said you're nothing, because any blowing the breeze is going to knock you off your game.
Yep.
And then you're not going to, and then that one day that you was off your game set you back 5 years.
Listen, man, my favorite Mike Tyson quote is, everybody got a game plan until you get hit in the face.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we all do, man. But as soon as you get some adversity, do you fall off the wagon? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Anything worth having certainly is you're gonna face some adversity. You know, your mother had adversity bringing you into the world, and boom, there you go. You know what I'm saying? So, and then obviously not having given birth, but my wife, told me, she was just like, you don't think about it once the baby's here. Like, you're thinking about it, of course, in the throes of it, but once the baby's here, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like, everything was worth it. You didn't mind going through it, man. So whatever we got to do, man, we got to do. And I want to say something real quick about moral obligation. Especially when it comes to our children. There was a young girl in my high school that got pregnant, like a lot of people do, but she got pregnant, in my opinion, due to the ignorance of her parents. When I was growing up, we're all taught, hey, you shouldn't have sex before marriage, you need to abstain, Right. Only you're nasty if you have it, all that type of stuff. But this girl was taught, she wasn't taught the basic fundamentals of how the birds and the bees actually get here. So I remember having an argument with her in our freshman year because she had been taught so poorly about just the birds and the bees that she just knew that sex was wrong. That's all she knew. I can't do it. It's wrong. She did not believe that her parents had procreated to bring her here. She couldn't tell me how she got here, but she was like, my parents don't commit sin, and sex
Oh,
is sin.
wow.
So she did not believe that her parents had done that to bring her here. Likewise, a year later comes, she's pregnant with a child at 15 because she is ignorant. She didn't have a basic understanding of how children get here. And that's a really, for me, that was always magnified because I was like, how you be 14 or 15 and not at least understand? Yeah, you're not supposed to do this, but how do you not understand where children come from? I don't understand how you got into high school and don't have that understanding. Likewise, when it comes to us, I really want us to think about this, brother. We've been here, like Africans come here from all parts of the continent, and they come here and they unify and they build businesses. And they look at us and go, how have you been here in America and not built something for yourself?
Yep,
And to a certain degree, I cannot blame them. So to me, that's how I feel like that's how we as Black people look to other people that have a knowledge of self.
I can answer that.
Come here to America.
I can answer that, Isaac. I can answer that question. You know why? You know why?
Africans can come over and
There's things been built, and people are doing these things that these what you call immigrants come in and do with the country. How the system is set up, and we talk about it sometimes in the shows. We talk about redlining. We talk about these certain things. How it's set up is for people to jump through hoops to just get the basics before even building onto that, just to get the basics. And maybe that basis may take somebody a whole lifetime to get through.
Yep.
To make it happen. It may take that. And then with us not knowing about passing anything down, the next generation is not able to continue that. So then maybe that dream dies off, right? Say a dream
but
does.
How do immigrants who don't teach English, Patrick, I mean, can't even speak English,
they come over here and in 2
they come over
years,
here
in
whip
2
people's
years,
ass in 2
they
years,
lapping us in 2 years.
Hey, but they also have bank loans and things that are afforded to them with the different. It's a lot of things that go into that.
True. So one thing I know that goes into it. I mean, you may be right with bank loans, but they also have a knowledge of self, and they don't see themselves as different. They don't see their brother as different than themselves, whereas we do. We'll separate ourselves.
But that's also. But just think about it like this, though, Isaac. Think about it like this. If we were, say Trevor moved to Australia. He went to Australia. He said, "Hey, I got this out here. I know that y'all are good at this, and we're professionals in those different crafts." And he said, "Hey, we can make a killing out here, right?" He goes over there. He sets up shop. We come over there because we know each other. We're not distracted by what's going on in the country, what our families then went through, what's going on. You ain't distracted by none of that. What they're doing is we going there and they looking at this continent and all it is, just like how the United States looks at it is a business. So they come over here and they conduct business, send the money back, and they back and forth. I met an African guy from Kenya, and he said he has a gold, like he does gold. He mixes gold, whatever case may be. So he comes over here, he gets a CDL, drives his truck. He drives his truck for the summertime. Then he goes back. The whole summer he drives the truck for the whole summer, and then he goes back. He sends his money back, and then he trades and he does it that way. For us, I feel that it's not an excuse. I'm just saying, because of what's put in front of us, it may take a little bit longer, and it has to take a lot more discipline for us to actually break through those walls. And I'm not saying that those walls haven't been broken, but when those walls are broken, how often is it getting branched off and building to get bigger?
Yeah.
Or is it like, hey, I got it. Y'all know how to get it, or you got to figure out your way, your path. Yeah. And that's why we here, that's why we're here to say, hey, we know better, we do better, we help the next person so they don't have to go through the same things that we're doing. They don't have to go through the same education curve that we're going through because they're learning it from kids to now. Like that's why me and Marcus talked about how we have to attack our young youth and why they and how the government is actually doing the same exact thing in a different way. And did y'all know that they just passed a law here in Georgia and in Florida that they're not talking about racism in the classroom?
Right.
Really?
So that's
Facts.
that.
Really?
So the law, there's a thing called critical race theory. I don't know the 5 tenets by heart, but the overall basis of critical race theory is that racism is so much a part of America that that white people can be participating in systemic racism and not know it because it is the fabric of this freaking country on what we stand on. And so Republicans have been pushing this thing about critical race theory. They're like, you had President Obama. How do you think is racism in the United States of America? And of course, what do you call it? Our response is a simple thing as far as white privilege is. They think white privilege is I'm getting money or something because I'm white, and that's not the case. The case is when you walk out your house and you see the police as a white person, you don't immediately go, what's he thinking? Mm-hmm. How am I dressed?
Right.
What is going on? Like, you don't start doing an automatic inventory of your life the moment you see a police officer.
Right.
That's why that's white privilege. The moment you see a police officer, you just start going, how am I dressed? Am I speeding? How am I looking? Right. Do I think I look suspicious to a white person? I mean, that all of these things start hopping through your mind because you don't want to get harassed and lose your life by the police. Exactly. So that's what they don't want that at all in being taught in public schools. And then the part they want to teach about slavery is, and I saw this with my own eyes, I did not believe it until I read it.
Don't get me mad. Don't get me mad.
I'm gonna get you mad. How about when I read it, it said, hey, there was a period of time when Black people came over to help white people farm the land. Moving on.
How they saying it?
Yes, that's what they are saying.
How they saying it?
That's what they're saying.
Oh, man.
I saw it, I read it. There was a period of time when Black people came to America.
No, man.
And help white people.
That can't ride.
Let's touch on the ways to the ways that we can leave that legacy.
People can't know this shit and let that ride.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
It's a real deal.
This is the moral obligation.
But
this is the moral obligation.
Before you finish that,
we got to set up our own, have enough money to set up our own schools so that we can properly educate our own people. Because we keep sending them to these public schools. Listen, man.
The system is behind.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on that about the school thing. All right, about the school thing, right? All right, so the school system is already in place, right? Right. And there's people that are creating schools and everything. But what can we do right now is after school programs that's going to teach people the fundamentals as far as that's going to directly affect our community. If we're able to put up these centers, and I had an idea on how to do it,
like a Boys and Girls Club type.
Starting with childcare, as far as what is our kids? A lot of people pay for childcare, right? A lot of people complain about how much information and how much teaching is getting done to our kids in childcare, like that, and they're not coming back learning nothing. I didn't pay you a lot just to sit out and color. You know what I mean? Right. So if we're able to create some type of system that is going to be able to teach the youth right now, so that what we're talking about is second nature, right?
Believe that. I cannot believe that.
It is second nature for a 15-year-old when they first start making money, or whatever age they start making money. They know exactly what they need to be doing with the money, how they need to save with it, how talking to their parents need to be also educated so they can invest for them already. So by the time that they're 18, they leaving the house. That's how these kids are having a leg up. Not only are they getting left something from their parents, parents have already been teaching them these things so that it is second nature. It's not something that they're learning how to do.
Right.
It's something that they already know how. It's already happening without them even knowing to do it. Like, you know, like riding a bike. It's like eating with a fork and a spoon. You already know how to do it. By the time they're our age, they're teaching their kids and their grandkids this. Why can't we teach our kids this at the age of 5 when they're learning their ABCs and their mathematics?
Yeah.
We have to we put it together in that way.
You know, man, and this is, man, we're about to bust through another time period, but
I think we'll jump to the solutions.
You know, in my life, you know, my parents, you know, they're educators. I grew up in Fort Valley. Fort Valley. That's the proper pronunciation. For people,
I think you froze.
People from there, Fort Valley. But at 3 and 4 years old, man, I knew how to multiply and divide. And then my mother sent me to so I was going to a private school run by these Africans, these other professors, like the wives of the professors were running this school. That's where my mother was sending me. And then we get ready to go to public school, and my mother just thought that I would retain it. But man, you get in there and they coloring and stuff like that. So I ended up learning to multiply and divide twice because I just never used it in kindergarten, first grade. So I ended up knowing it at third grade, at 3 and 4. Now, imagine if I had been given, I knew all that multiplication and division at 3 and 4. And then at 5, I start learning these principles. You know, these are the principles of business. Right. And this is how you have to do. So imagine where I could have been in high school. I mean, I knew how to multiply and divide at 3 and 4. What could I have been? And listen, I wasn't special. They just treated me like I knew, like I was a grown-up. Like, hey, you can do this.
Right.
You can absolutely do this. This is X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. You can do this. All of us, man, can do that. And all of us have that ability ourselves. The money, it is our moral obligation to get as much money as possible, not just to be balling and living out of control, but to lift up our community, educate our people, and create the dream and the reality that we need to have. The last thing we need to talk about, of course, is the solutions. The solutions. So I'm gonna hit on a couple of topics real quick, but you know, we really want Trevor to talk about once we start building up our estate or what have you.
All of that,
we want to talk about, because I'm telling you, man, when Trevor talked about it earlier in the year, I really felt like we need to just do a whole topic on that, because I'll give you an example. I didn't know that if you don't assign a beneficiary to your life insurance, I mean, I knew it. I know it now, but I didn't know it when I first got into this, that your life insurance automatically goes to your estate. And then if if a family member wants to get the money out, they're going to be charged that estate tax.
Yep.
So if you forget to assign a beneficiary, you just automatically have shot yourself, your wishes, your desires in the foot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's something extremely simple that people are not taking advantage of. Another solution, we mentioned it on here, is the IUL, and that is a tax advantage, not tax deferred, but a tax advantage strategy that will allow you to save money better than a 401k, in my honest opinion. It'll allow you to leave a legacy for your children. It can be placed on your grandchildren or what have you, and your children. So these are all things that we have here. You got Roth IRAs, and I'll let you guys talk about some of the other things, and then we want to let Trevor have the balance of the time to talk about that estate preservation.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like you said, you got the Roth IRA. Of course, it's similar, but your life ain't protected. You know what I mean? It's kind of parallel with the IUL, the Roth. So, you just get that life protection and living benefits with the IUL. Now, if you can't afford the IUL, you know, it's other alternatives. You have term, you know what I mean, that we would be able to hook you up with. I'll let Pat, you can touch on the wills and trusts and things. But yeah, just, you know, you definitely want to have something in place. You know what I mean? Because if you're constantly
somewhere
and working, you can afford the term But you know, over time, you want to advance your finances, and you know, then you can go ahead down the road, you can afford an IUL and just go ahead and get everything all switched over and in place, and you know, you keep it rolling. But go ahead, Pat.
All right. So I'm not going to sit on here and tell you that I know exactly how a will and trust and how you're supposed to get it. Now I know how to put you in front of the person who does, and I believe that you have a lawyer. If I'm not right, if I'm incorrect, please correct me. But it is a lawyer, and the importance. I know the importance of a will and trust. Now, a will and trust is things that help you get your assets and your all your valuables to be where you want them to be. It's going to be a written form. It's going to be something that, all right, this is what I want to happen, and you will. And then in the trust is how you protect your assets from maybe divorce, maybe the government coming to get it because you owe the IRS or something like that. It's something to keep your assets protected so that you're able to keep your assets. But you always can go into our workshop. I believe it's 5, and we go over wills and trust.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna pass it back to you because
Oh,
we about to
Yeah,
get into
well, Tanisha said it was 4,
4.
and there was
It's
something
four,
else
workshop 4. I'm
Tanisha had
sorry.
mentioned in the chat that I wanted to touch on. Oh, we could do that at the end, the registration and everything for G21. But yeah, okay, Trevor, you want to go ahead and elaborate on the tax issues and whatnot of the necessary things that we want to have in place?
Yes. So before I say this, understand I'm not an attorney. Okay. I may know they shit, but I know attorney. Okay. Right. Now, when it comes to a living trust, okay, a living trust can be subject to taxes. All right. So don't just think just because you put your stuff in a trust that it can't be taxed. It can be taxed. Okay. All the trust does is it make sure your beneficiary gets it, and the government can't tell you what to do with it. But if it's not set up properly, they can come after that money and tax it. Okay, so don't think that just because you put your wealth in a living trust that it can't be taxed, because it can be taxed. Okay, and as I said earlier, there are 2 types of tax when it comes to passing on your wealth. One is the death tax, okay, and the death tax is typically imposed by the federal government, okay, all right, and then there is the inheritance tax, okay, that's typically enforced by the state, okay, so there are particular states that have the inheritance tax, okay, and but the government itself, they don't tax the inheritance. So what that means is if I pass on my wealth in my estate to my family, okay, I'm going to be taxed, right, by the government for whatever I leave. That could be up to 40% or whatever that is. Now, as of 2018, I do believe the government will invoke that tax I want to say at $10 million. All right. So you can leave up to 10 mil. I think it's almost 11 mil without paying the death tax. Now, it doesn't mean you won't pay the inheritance tax. Okay. Because the death tax, who taxes that? The government. Okay. That's called your state taxes. Okay. And then the inheritance taxes, who taxes that? That is the state, what the people get. All right. So the government, so
they getting you coming and going, huh?
Right, exactly. So you can pass on up to 10 mil and not be hit with the death tax, but you still may pay the inheritance tax depending on the state that you're in. Now, if you don't want to pay no taxes at all, it's very, very simple. Make sure the owner never dies. So what's that mean? It means this. If I set up a living trust, okay, under a corporation where my entire family, are owners of that corporation, all right, or that trust. Meaning, if they, let's just keep it simple and say a house, okay? If I'm the owner of the house and I die, right, and I want to leave it to my kid, all right, I'm gonna pay taxes on the value of that when I die, and my kid will pay taxes on that when they inherit it, okay? However, if I own it and my kid owns it, guess what? The kid don't inherit nothing. Why? Because they
You
already own it.
own it.
Okay, so if you don't want to pay no taxes at all right, make sure you don't pass on nothing. Make sure they already own it when? Now. Okay, so if you own it as the father, the wife should own it, okay? The kids should own it, okay? And if you want it to stay in the family, then Papa, make sure the grandchild owns it too.
Facts.
All right, and that way you never pay no taxes. Why? Because the owner never died.
Right. All y'all
Right,
ain't at the same time.
Right, drop.
Right. For sure.
Hey, so Trevor, let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you, Trevor. So I know that a lot of these recording artists, I heard Nas did it, Jay-Z's done it, Beyonce's done it. They've added their children to the credits or the producing title, whatever.
Yep.
And so that no matter what happens, they are all, that's the same thing, right? They're already part of the same thing.
Yes.
So they're getting that money.
Because again, guys, I told y'all this earlier. Whenever money goes from this hand to this hand, what do you create?
Taxable event.
A taxable event. So if I die and leave it to my kids or my family, it changed hands, right?
Yep.
So what'd you create? A taxable event. So if they already own the wealth,
exactly,
ain't nothing to pass on.
Exactly.
Okay. If I die today, it's business as usual tomorrow. Just bury me and keep moving.
Yep.
Because you already own every damn thing.
Yep.
That's how you do it.
So is there any percentages? So for instance, let's say this, whatever the asset is that you own, are you both co-owners or is there a percentage? For instance, let's say you own 70%, they own 30. You pass away, do they automatically own your 70 now? Or how does that work?
It's a layer, okay, but eventually, okay, all of it should be, it should be under one corporation, all right? Probably a C Corp, okay, where you can name multiple shareholders, all right? And then all the wealth is transferred into that corporation and it's divided out evenly. So that way, hey, you got yours here, you got yours there, you got yours there, and there's no tax to pay, okay? And then the surviving, whoever's in charge, they can now divide it up to where, okay, you're the oldest, so I'm gonna give you control of X amount. So yes, it passes on that way, okay? So sure. You may pass on the bulk of it, to your spouse, okay? And then as your child gets older and more proficient, they can now control more shares of that. So that means that when they pass on, okay, it passes. It's the same thing. So as long as the money passes without taxes being paid, you can divide it up later, okay? Because it's owner changing what? It's owners owning everything. So as long as you own it, ain't no tax to pay.
Awesome. Love that, man. Love that. And see, that, Trevor, man, is such a simple thing. That is not that's not rocket science. But that just shows you the government knows that we're not out here searching for this type of thing. We're not out here trying to find loopholes and that's not really even a loophole.
It's not. Just the tax code. If you don't want to pay taxes on nothing, don't let it change hands.
Yep.
And that is very a very, very simple way to do things, man. I mean, that is absolutely, I mean, that's brilliant, man. Just I say brilliant, but again, it's not, because if we read stuff, I mean, it's hiding in place. It's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, it's there.
It's hiding in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy, but it's literally hiding in plain sight right now. So I mean, bro, that is absolutely phenomenal. What are some of the other things, man, that we could be doing besides making other people, making our children the owners or making our spouses co-owners on that as well?
You definitely want to start setting up corporations to where you can literally set up a corporation to where everything that you buy anyway, okay, can now be a company expense, all right? Your glasses, your shoes, your toiletries, your car, your home, okay? Just start a company, right, where everyone in the company is either a shareholder or a director, okay, and give them a duty, right? And the duty is this: you are always working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whatever you buy, like a easy way to do it, your juice bar, okay, your
Right.
juice bar needs to be a corporation, okay, because every month your juice bar will be required to have a meeting, okay, that you can have at your house, okay? And at that meeting, your CEO may want to have a place to rest, okay, a place to watch TV, right? They got to get on the internet. They got to use their cell phone, their Wi-Fi. They got to eat food, okay? They got to brush their teeth. They got to do all this shit. So everything that you have to do, everything that you already do right now, okay? Wear clothes, buy food, buy coffee, tea, juice, brush your teeth, wear cologne, all that stuff. You can have a meeting where you require all that to be had at the meeting. If you do that, and you have to have one every single month, right? That means that everything you buy now can now be a company expense. Why? Because your company is requiring that for the meeting, okay?
So and that has to be added in the bylaws, right? For instance, like if you say every person that owns this part owner or shareholder in the company, they have to have a car or a certain level of
Yes,
so
yes,
that can be in the
yes,
bylaws. Is that
yes,
correct?
so yes,
Okay.
yes. It's not actually well, yes. It'll say if you are of driving age and you work for this company, you must drive a model year vehicle. If you can't afford a model year vehicle, the company will buy one and release it to you. But you will drive a model year vehicle, and so that way your cars can now be an expense. Okay, everything you already buy right now, make it a company expense. So that way it's a write-off.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And you recommend C as opposed to S. Is that right?
If you want to make over 85,000 a year gross, because typically most people don't make enough money in a C corp to file the taxes. However, if you don't make enough money in the C corp, you can still create the C corp, okay, but you can't file taxes because the IRS will reject them. It don't mean you did something wrong. All they're saying is make more money and then file. Okay, so in the meantime,
that limit was 85.
85.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
gross, yes,
Gross is 85.
yes, because in a C corp, you're taxed first on the money. Okay, so by the time the money gets to the C corp, it's already bought all of your shit through the S corp, and then it gets to the C corp. Okay, so your juice bar needs to be an S corp, and then a separate C corp. Okay, that controls the juice bar and tells the juice bar what to do.
Nice. Yes,
Gotcha.
sir. Yes, sir. Great
Nice.
information. Great.
God dang it, bro. We got two minutes, bro. God dang.
Yeah. Any final remarks for the audience, fellas?
Make sure we mention the events coming up, man.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna speak on. I was gonna do that after y'all final
Okay,
remarks.
all right.
Yeah. I got 7 S corps, okay, and 1 C corp and 1 enterprise, okay. Eventually, you need an enterprise because an enterprise controls multiple types of businesses. Yeah. My bad.
Good job.
No problem.
Yeah.
Since I don't know when and what point I'm about to be a grandfather, this Father's Day thing means a whole lot to me today. Sure. Simply because I'm in the circle of life, I'm the exact age my mother was when I had Khalil,
What?
my first child. I'm the exact age my mother was when I had my first son. So it's like we traded, first child. So we traded places.
Yeah.
And I can see where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? So the thing that I want to do is make sure that I leave a proper legacy for my children. And I'm excited about this new phase, man, because I feel like we're just getting started with this thing. You know what I'm saying? And we're all doing a phenomenal job.
For sure.
And we thank Tanisha for this opportunity.
Oh yes.
Tanisha.
Forever thank you. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you. Can't thank you enough. Patrick or Trevor, y'all got any final remarks before I go ahead and touch
Hey,
on?
I just want to congratulate Isaac on coming to Pawpaw,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and he got about 20 more years before he's gonna tell me the same thing. So I just want to say,
I'm gonna tell you in 7 years, brother. You got 7 years. That's the most. We're gonna give you 7 years, man.
Yeah.
7 years. We giving you 7, brother.
Patrick, you want to say something?
My final remarks is happy Father's Day to all the fathers that's out there. Continue to be a leader.
Indeed.
Continue to understand the hard road is the best road to take when you're trying to groom yourself into somebody to be proud of, and don't just listen to the words that you hear. Actually go seek out, educate yourself, get understanding, reach out to either Isaac, Trevor, me, or Marcus, and learn you something,
For sure. Thank you, Pat. Again, happy Father's Day to all my fathers out there. Tanisha, go ahead and put up our information. For the audience, we have a big G21 convention coming up next weekend, the 25th and 26th. Tanisha's going to put our information up here so you guys can contact us. Definitely, we want you guys to come to this convention, see what the campaign and what this financial literacy campaign is all about, and why are we so passionate about educating as many people as we can, for sure. You want to leave that up for a second, Tanisha, before we close out?
And then as far as the, I'm sorry. So I'm assuming the link for the registration is going to be in the YouTube, link or what have you. So we want to make sure that we let them know that G21 launch, and the money, all of it's going to be donated to charity.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All the proceeds for the registration get donated to charity.
Yep.
So we certainly want to make sure we did that. And hey, listen, one last thing. Yes, Tanisha birthed this, but our group was birthed by Miss Delitha McRae.
Yep.
And she has been a great stewardess of our group. She is absolutely selfless.
She's the matriarch. She's the matriarch.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
And she has birthed this group, man. And I'm not only am I glad that I'm glad to have to consider her a friend. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Just somebody you can go talk to and run some things by. Not only that, somebody that can teach you this.
Exactly.
This woman has forgotten more stuff than we will ever learn. You know what I'm saying? And she,
right.
But she's a great steward of this group. So
for sure.
That's it, guys, man. Love each and every one of you brothers. And man, we're looking forward to what's coming on next week. Hopefully next week I can officially be Pawpaw. I thought it was gonna be this week, man, but we're gonna figure it out
next week.
And hopefully,
and just to touch on the G21.
It's like he gonna be in the damn birthing room holding her hand.
I want to. It ain't proper, but I want to. I just want. I want to be outside with a bullhorn. Talking about, you got it, girl. Pawpaw is out here. You
right. breathe, baby, breathe.
You got it. I'm here for you. I'm here.
Yes, sir. But look, I know Isaac had mentioned, all the proceeds are being donated to charity. The basic pass is $5 for the audience, so you guys know, and to get the full access, it's $25. I recommend the full access, y'all. For real, it's going to be a great experience. Definitely.
All right.
This concludes our show. Our lovely fathers day show for Fathers and Finance. And thank y'all for tuning in. Everybody that did.